Oh, Mr. Beechin, what have you done? There were once lots of trains to catch, but soon there'll be none. I'll have to go and buy a bike, 'cause I can't afford a car. Oh, Dr. Beechin, what a naughty man you are. So, don't worry, I'm not going to sing it all. So what was that about? Well, welcome to the View Behind Blue Eyes. And I'm standing in, or on, Brampton Way, or Brampton Valley Way, if I turn you out. Actually down near Draughton, out towards Maidwell. And if you carry on up this route, you head towards Kelmarsh, and this way towards Draughton and Lamport and Brixworth and Pittsford and Northampton. So this used to be the line that connected, well, Leicester used to go to Market Harbour, and then Market Harbour through some tunnels up there. One of them's called Kelmarsh Tunnel, so that's at the Kelmarsh end, down this track all the way to Northampton. So this was the Leicester to Northampton line, and yes, it was part of Dr. Beechin's cuts. So who was Dr. Beechin? Well, I'm not going to go too much into history. There's a lot about him on other YouTube channels. So Dr. Beechin was assigned by the government to be British Rail's chief director in 1960, but he was also assigned to find a way of saving money, as the railway system in those days had lost a lot of money. I mean a lot of money. By 1960 it had lost £41 million. The problem was, although we were nostalgic for steam trains and things, most of the infrastructure had been in since it was put in Victorian times and hadn't been updated. Actually on a lovely old railway bridge here at the moment. So Dr. Beechin was brought in, and he was charged to file a report to find ways of saving money. So when they talk about the Beechin report, in 1963 he came back to the government and he proposed closing down over 5,000 miles of railway lines, and closing all the small branches and all those little village branches with their own little stations, and basically stripped out more than half of the railway structure in the UK. And it wasn't that he started it then, he actually started around about 1950, before Beechin came along, or Beechin, not Beechin. And he basically, when he put this report out in the 1960s, by that point they'd already stripped out 2,000 miles of track. So from the Dr. Beechin report, they stripped out the further 5,000 miles of railway infrastructure and track, and shot all these lovely quaint railways where people would go because they just weren't making any money. And at that point, in 1963, he deciphered that 10% of the population were buying cars, and so didn't need public transport. Haha, how wrong can you be? Welcome to the modern world, Mr. Beechin. People want to move away from diesel and petrol cars. Yes, and electric cars, are they the future? Don't know. I'm not going to get into that argument. However, public transport could have been, but you didn't know it in 1963. So yes, so we're walking along an old railway track, which is the Brampton Valley Way, heading back towards, this is the Draughton car park here. I'm just going to cross it and walk a little way down that way, and then I'll move on to a different location. I suppose we can be grateful that even though he shut down these lines and, you know, closed the railways, tore out the heart of some of these villages and that, I suppose we can be grateful we've got these lanes that we can walk along today. And actually further down the lane towards Lamport end and Northampton end, up towards Brampton, you have the Lamport and Northampton Railway Heritage Trust. It's a small section of it. preserved, which I'm going to do on a different video because I think it deserves a video on its own. So I've crossed over from the other side of Draughton car park and actually heading towards Lamport and Brixworth Way along the Brampton Valley track, or Brampton Valley Railway, whatever you want to call it, the old Market Harbour to Northampton line that used to run along here. I've come along this way just to have a look at an old relic, a bygone past, and we're literally just coming up to it now. And after I've had a look at this, I'm going to turn around, go back to the car and take a short drive up to another car park further along the line at Brixworth, so that I can walk along and have a look at the station area that used to occupy down there. So here we are, a bit of engineering wanted to come and see. It's a nice bench somebody's had put there, isn't it? Rod's bench. I don't know Rod, but you know what? Lovely bench. And I'm sure Rod was a lovely man. So this is Maidwell Footbridge. It's obviously part of Maidwell Station that used to be here. This is all that remains. Not in particularly good nick, but it's still beautiful. It is still stunning in its design. It's such a shame. And Maidwell Trail, I'm across those fields past the sheep. I can see a few houses, and there's a bridge over there to pass over a stream. It's obviously leads to Maidwell. Yeah, it's all gutted, but the ghost of it is still here. How many hands touch that? How many steam engines steamed under here? My dad used to like black 5s, the number 5s, they were all painted black. Yeah, he used to come down here. He used to tell me a funny story that he used to come down here and pick tomatoes. So you could work that one out. You weren't allowed to flush in the station, if you remember. I used to be on the old trains in the 80s and 70s. Well, back in the 40s when my dad was a boy, they used to send him down the railway line to pick up any old lumps of coal that might have fallen off the trains, and any other useful scraps. He used to find tomatoes. So in the summer the seeds used to germinate. Yeah, Brampton Valley Railway. What we'll do is I'm going to go back up to the car park, and then I'm going to drive down to Brixworth, and we'll see you there. Anyway, as I was saying, as I walk back, Mr. Beechin, or Dr. Beechin as he was known, Lord Beechin, he put the report out in '63 that shut all these railways. It had been going on since '50s before he started that, but from '63 through subsequent years, and it was a fair few years, all these little lines were shut. In fact, the last Beechin cut, as it's known, happened in 1986. I don't think Mr. Beechin was still around then. He toddled off elsewhere. So that was what, 25 years. But I kind of remember this one. When I used to go to Chapel Brampton, I used to do a bit of horse riding when I was very little with some friends at Chapel Brampton. I kind of remember the engines going past in the very early 70s, probably around about 73. So this line was definitely still active then. But just like that, we're in Brixworth car park on the Brampton Valley. So if you travel that way is towards Northampton, and actually the Lamport Northampton Historic Railway is down that way. But we're going to cross the road here, the Stratton Road, and walk towards Brixworth Station. Brampton Road, Brixworth that way, Brampton that way. This is the part of Brampton Valley Way. It also runs up towards Station Road, Brixworth. I was given that name because where the station was for Brixworth. So we'll have a little walk up here and see what it is, and that will conclude there, because I don't want to walk down to Lamport Historic Railway, and I think that's deserving of its own little video, which we'll do at some other time. So, I'll tell you what, it's very remote. I can understand why people were a bit resilient to giving up their railways. Good old Mr. Beeching, eh? Good old Dr. Beeching. So let's have a walk down here. Now I used to be able to get loads of stuff down here. I used to come down here with my dad picking sloes so we can make the old sloe gin. Tell you to buy a bottle of cheap gin and some caster sugar and some sloes, preferably after they've had the first frost. If not, you pick them and put them in the freezer. This helps the skins to sort of split so that the juices can come out. And you put the litre of vodka in and weigh out a bit of caster sugar in there as well, and the sloes all in a big kilner's jar, seal it up, and you wouldn't touch it for a year. And then next year you do the same and start another batch, and then you would open out the batch that you did this time and you drain it off and bottle it up, and boom, sloe gin. And it was blooming marvellous, syrupy sweet goodness, a real winter warmer, my dad used to call it. He also used to collect blackberries from down here and did exactly the same thing with whiskey and make blackberry whiskey. I wasn't particularly partial to that. I found that a little bit too tart for my liking. Yeah, we'll just have a walk down here and see if we can find any evidence of relics. Oh, I just saw that to the side, the old bulrushes. Yeah, Spring Marsh it's saying, Spring Marsh. That's pretty. Crab apples. I imagine he used to make crab apple jam as well. Used to have a way with foraging, my dad. Mushrooms, railway tomatoes. Yeah, used to do well for the family during wartime when he was growing up. So as I was saying, sloes, these are big and fat this year. Well, summer was a bit wet to start off with, and we're currently enjoying what I would call an Indian summer. It's nearly middle September and the sun is still shining, and you know what, long may it rain. I don't mean that in the R-A-I-N way, I mean as in raw. Crab apples in their abundance. Yeah, it's gorgeous down here, and the views out there really are quite stunning. There's a railway marker, it's a bit of a relic. I just make out on the top of it, it says 34. Don't know what the significance of that is, but a bit of heritage left behind. I thought oak was in short supply in England nowadays, but yeah, there's still lots of it around, and the acorns are packed on these trees this year again. There's still plenty of it about, and plenty of elderberries as well. And you know what that means? Elderberry wine. and your rose hips for your itching powder, or your rose hip tea and your remedies and what have you. Some more sloes here. Amazing. Sycamore. What did you call them when you were kids? I used to call them helicopters. It's when the wind used to blow them off, they used to float down like a rotary. Yeah, absolutely loaded this year. Our fauna and our furry friends and our feathered friends are going to have plenty to keep them well stocked over the winter. Another oak tree. Amazing. Absolutely loaded. Oof. Slow gin, anyone? Oof. Vino, vino, vino. Blackberry whiskey, anybody? Pies or crumble? Here we've got another piece of railway left over from when the old trains used to toodle down here. Mile marker maybe? 8 miles to Northampton, possible, it's about right. And actually nearing the end of our little trek, we come up to Station Road Bridge. So Station Road goes over the top of this, heads out towards Cretan from Brixworth. So another bit of railway remnant, well, it had to be left because obviously the road's above. Yeah, built by the railways. Hello there. Magnificent. Wonder how many black fives steamed under there. And you'd standing on top looking over. There's a black five chug 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 underneath. The smoke bells up in your face and you run to the other side. Catch it coming out the other side. Amazing. So we're nearly finished now. I just wanted to bring you to this point here because this is an approximation of where the station used to be. You can actually walk up to Brixworth Village that way as well. But the clear ground just down here is an approximation of where the station used to sit. And we'll end our little walk there. All of these trees would have been useful for the station master. Look at those damsons up there, absolutely loaded. Yeah, be part of his gardens. Right, yep, just here. This ground. There's also remnants there, not much, but it's still there. So yep, this was the station master's house, and what's left at the station. As I say, there's not a lot. You can't really go in there anymore, but there are a few fruit trees in here, I know that. You saw the damson tree just there. There's a few more in here, and they would have been in the station master's garden, which is kind of over there, or to the left towards the tunnel actually. So yeah, bygone relic, the remains of Brixworth Railway Station. back that way, the way we came. I love stuff like this. I love seeing old bits of engineering. That's what my channel's about. That's what the View Through Blue Eyes is about. And what a view it is. As I said, this has been the View Through Blue Eyes. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Talk to me, Goose.